I hear the call of the stars.
G'day everybody, Duckville here. We're going to have a replay today between a Terran and a Zerg. Over here in the right hand side of Shakura's Plateau is prOxiShroom, one of the main leaders in the Proxy clan. These guys have been around for a very long time, been around since the Brood War days of StarCraft, and of course have been doing really nicely in the Australia-New Zealand sort of arena for the game. So if you play on C, you may have come across some of these guys. His opponent over here is prOxiVeom, who's of course of the same team and has been part of that team as well for a little while, and he's going to be playing Zerg over here on the left hand side. Now this is a replay. This is actually the third game of a best of 3 between these two players from just a little event down at the MCC Internet Cafe, or down in Melbourne in Australia, for those of you playing at home. And yeah, so this is going to be some interesting games. We do have a scouting SCV. I'm a little bit confused why he's going up here. You can't actually spawn in vertical close positions on this map. I would have thought you would have known that, Shroom, but anyway, he'll eventually get to the right position, of course, because there's only a couple to choose from, and we'll see what happens. He's got an Overlord coming across from the correct direction, which he will get to soon, and this Overlord will obviously get into the base. Probably won't get too far because this Rax will be up shortly, but he will be able to see that this gas hasn't been taken, may be able to get across to this gas as well, and we'll see that the Terran has not taken it, but there goes one. He has taken one of them, and meanwhile, just over here at the side, Veom is actually scouting out with his own drone for the moment. He is going to be going cross positions. Firstly, he's going to head over here and then head down to the 5 o'clock position. So he too is going to be scouting just a little bit later than normal with the drone, but of course this Overlord is going to get in here in just a second, and he could probably send that drone home, I would assume. But as we can see here, the Overlord turning around, very nice little strategy, just making sure that the Terran isn't aware of the direct positions, but now that the SCV has gotten into the base, he will certainly be aware now, and he'll be able to have a look at what's happening here. Now, ooh, another nice little tactic there, that drone just going off to the side to make sure that the SCV does not actually come down and get in the way of the hatchery, which is about to be planted. So very, very nice work from Veom there. Meanwhile, the SCV just getting inside, sees that there was a spawning pool down already, and he's now just coming down to the National, attempting to block that off, but it was already planted, so not going to get too far. No gas for the moment from Veom just yet. A Queen has now popped out, and we'll probably see some injects going on, and just for the moment, we do have a second and a third Rax going up here. There are a couple of Marines out, which will scout out the base and make sure there's no pesky Overlords just standing around watching what is happening, like a very scary voyeur on the internet or something like that. And the SCV gets chased down by the drone. Drone not happy with the SCV just hanging around, not to mention those Zerglings will now be out and will be able to push around the map, just making sure that there is map control for Veom. Gas goes down, and so this is going to be standard sort of openings for both of these guys here. Obviously that spawning pool was pretty sort of quick. I'm not exactly sure of the timings there, but did actually have that down right away. Now we see they're sort of talking about what is happening at the LAN. I believe there was also some sort of Halo matches going on at the time, so there's sort of obviously Halo players, you know what they're like, they're a bit crazy, and they're just sort of talking about that. But we do have 2 reactors going down on the second and the third Rax. Oh, it's just almost letting in a couple of Zerglings, which would have been more than happy to run through and try and see what was going on. But these 2 reactors could signal that we could have some sort of timing push coming out of Shroom, and he may be just trying to push up to make sure that this this natural expansion doesn't get down too easily. Of course, he may not be able to actually destroy it, but he certainly will give it a run for its money. And as we can see, these Zerglings doing the same sort of thing, just poking around, having a look at what these Marines are doing. Marines not really doing too much just for the moment. We do have combat shields on the way. No stim going first, which may be a little bit of an interesting signal as to when he's going to push out. Perhaps it may not be a push at all by that particular note. And a 4th Rax goes down. Still no command center. I'm a little bit surprised. So we may definitely, actually, yeah, I'm pretty sure we are going to see some sort of Marine push out, especially with that double reactor. There's going to be a whole lot of Marines on the field in just a moment. We already have 10, and there are going to be more on the way. As we can see in the production tab, there are 5 more Marines on the way. These guys are going to have combat shields, so they're going to be able to take some hits from these Zerglings, of course, once they get out on the map. Zergling speed is just about done, and a couple of spine crawlers have been placed here for Veom. So he's definitely going to be ready for a standard sort of aggression there from the Terran, but of course when there are going to be that many Marines out on the map, it could get a little bit interesting. And now we do see that a Baneling Nest is on the way. Of course Veom just perhaps getting a little bit wary of the fact that there are so many Marines out on the map, and now with these Marines moving across, it will be up to Shroom to try and make sure that the Zerg does not see it. As we can see, there is Zelnaga Watchtower coverage there, with both of those towers being taken by Veom. He's done a great job of making sure that he can see what is coming across the map. However, interestingly, we did see that Shroom actually let these Marines slip by and actually fall a little bit further behind where they could have been. A couple of Zerglings getting inside now, trying to just get a little bit more information before this push occurs. And now we do see that the Marines are now walking up to the front of the base. An extra spine crawler goes down. We'll probably see there's a scan actually from Shroom, so he's well aware of what is here, trying to get up there and take out that third spine crawler before it gets too high up. The spine crawler is actually in an interesting spot way out in the open there. The Marines do have that combat shield. Keep in mind, they do not have stims, so they won't be pummeling through all of these units and buildings too fast, but they will be able to take a fair few hits from all of these units. And now with the Baneling Nest there, this attack, I don't think this will actually get too far. These Marines could get in here and take out a lot of these Lings. In fact, they will do that. Some of those going down quite quick. Smart there. The spine crawler poking away, but it looks as if Shroom may have to back off for the moment, because there is just a tiny bit too much here. Of course, as a Zerg, what you want to do is really just be really careful with what you're doing, and you want to have the bare minimum of defense. You want to be able to defend something and just have enough. And as we can see here, a lot of Lings are now coming out here from Veom. Is now trying to push these Marines back. He does not actually catch them in range of the spine crawler, but there are just so many Zerglings here, and the Zerglings are going to rip through all of those, and that will be the end of that particular push. And now, as we can see, Shroom is just heading back to base with some of these Marines that he did have out, getting up 1 and 2 bunkers shortly. The command center is up here at the natural. In fact, I think the SCV may have been sniped or something like that, or maybe he pulled it off. No, I think he pulled it off to build that bunker, so he's just being very, very safe there. Somehow that Marine got behind the map there, and these Lings are trying to bust through. These Marines still do not have stim, keep in mind, so they won't be able to defend as much as a stim Marines could, but they certainly will do their job for the time being, especially given the fact that there are so many racks out now, and you sort of consider that these are sort of double racks in a way. So it's a lot of Marines that will be running around the map. And as we can see, Shroom trying to keep control of his of the map. Of course, he wants to make sure that these Lings are making sure that they're on their toes and that sort of thing, and we do see that he hasn't actually checked out those Zelnaga Watchtowers, so Veom is going to be well prepared for what is coming across the map. Look at this vision that he actually has. He's got both of these expansions here. He has both of these as well, which gives you vision of this potential third here, and we'll see what is going on. But loving this move here by Shroom, just pushing up with these Marines. Do keep in mind the stim is not done just yet. I'm still waiting for stim to pop out, but what he is doing is just checking out the third, the potential third here for Veom. He's just making sure that he hasn't got that up. Of course, if you do play against a Zerg, you want to try and make sure that you can deny that third as long as possible. For Protoss, you normally do that with a Void Rail 3, and for Terrans, you can do that with these sorts of mini pushes at the time. So it's very dependent on how you're actually going to play it. Now we do see that Veom is actually teched up to Munis. He's got all 4 gas going. He is going to try and take that third base. I think this is what this drone is for. Ironically, not too long after those Marines left, if these guys had have actually gone up there a minute earlier, this could have been a whole different story. But we do have those Marines just running, the Mutas, sorry, just running across the map. They're going to run into a wall of Marines at the moment there. The Marines have just got their stim started. They do have +1 to armor on the way as well. A couple more buildings are on the way. A second eBay, 2 factories are going up, so there's going to be probably some tank transition here from Shroom. And now we do see over at the natural some turrets are going down to make sure that he's protected against any possible Muta harass. And now as we see over here, the Mutas are moving into position. They may be able to harass some of this refinery positioning here, and they do actually jump right on top of that, trying to get in there before the turrets are built. One of the turrets is up, and the second one is just about done. There it is, and now this Muta harass will have to cease for the moment. He's done a good job there of just making sure that Shroom is very much accountable for those Mutas and where they are on the map. And as we can see here, those 2 factories are now up and running. We have one of them researching siege tank mode, and the siege mode, sorry, and 2 tanks will be popping out soon. We'll probably see some type of marine tank push from Shroom in the short moment. But meanwhile, he's got to contend with these mutas, as we said. They are flying around, making sure that Shroom is very accountable for what he is doing here. Attacking the tech lab there, trying to get rid of that if he can, but he's not going to be able to get that down in time before the Marines come across. Over here, we do have that third finally for Veom. So he's got that up. He's transferring. No, he's not. Where are the drones? There they are. He is transferring some of these drones across. They're going to walk over to that other base and get that saturated. Nice little transfer here. That's a nice amount to actually move across. And as we can see here, these Lings are just really starting to pop out in numbers here, along with the Banelings as well. They do have speed, I believe. Yep, there it is. And we've got all sorts of upgrades on the way from both of these players. We've got Flyer Attacks level 1 on the way from Veom. We've got level 1 Ground Carapace, which means that the Banelings will survive a tank hit. And also the +1/2 melee as well. Looks as if we've got an attack here from Veom. He's going to try and get in here before these tanks get into siege mode. Busting through with all of those Banes. Actually, some attempted splits there from Shroom would not too bad. He did lose a lot of those Marines, and these guys are quite low in the health department, and they're going to try and run up here into the third, sending a couple out here just to make sure he can scout any possible counter-attacks. And now we see that there are actually a lot of Marines up here. They are probably going to take out this hatchery. Perhaps they'll run up and try and get rid of some of those drones that were there as well. But now the Lings are going to come in here and counter-attack. These Marines are very, very low. They're going to go straight down, and as you can see, a total massacre there at that expansion. And the meanwhile, of course, down here we have beautiful macro here from Shroom. He's been getting these Marines and tanks pumping out here. He's got a couple. He's got a medevac on the way, and he's got another one in production. The production tab shows us that Veom is not actually up to anything at the moment. He doesn't have anything on the way. There's a hatch. We've got +2 to melee attacks and carapace, so he's going to be boosting up those Marines. Probably sticking with this Mutaling Bane combo, which is quite useful against this sort of attack from Shroom. Obviously, you want the mutas to try and take out the tanks if possible. Generally, you try and use the Lings to soak up damage from every sort of unit here, and then of course the Banelings are used to make sure that the Marines go down in a flurry of awesome green goo. And now we see that, speaking of green goo, some more Banelings are morphing in here from Veom. He's got a couple on the way, 5 in total. He's already got a few up here already, but now we do have that secondary push here from Shroom. He's going to move across here, one tank sieging up and a second one just behind it here. This is a very nice position here. He can just sort of control the positioning of the map here, but it looks as if the mutas have gotten inside. This tank is going to go down. There it goes. The mutas have done a fantastic job there, just running through and taking out that tank. And now we do see, in fact, in the main base, there is a drop here from Shroom. He's used those Marines and done a great job of taking out the infestation pit, which is a beautiful move, making sure that Veom is not able to produce those very much needed infestors. Of course, the fungal growth is a very powerful thing to use against all of these sorts of units here. Banelings rolling through here. They are going to take out all of these Marines. There you go. Good night to all of those Marines. A hatch survives with 200 HP. Beautiful work there by Veom to counter that attack and make sure that he's keeping all of these bases up. Speaking of bases, check it out. He's got one over here. He's got another up here. We do see that that scan has picked up that one, and it looks as if another attack is coming in here. There are a lot of Lings on the ground, so this may not end in Shroom's favor. Actually taking out a lot of those Marines, taking out the tanks, moving those Marines onto the high ground. Fantastic little tactic there, just making sure that those Marines are off the ground and their toes aren't touching anything on the ground. Of course, those Marines are not going to be taking any damage from the Lings. We do see, as he's doing a fantastic job with his macro, we do see have a lot of SCVs down here for Shroom, mining away there, and he's going to be in a good position to keep up the attack here. He has taken out this base here, this attempted 5th base there from Veom. He's going to pick up those Marines and get them out of there. They're going to now be able to come up here to the attempted 4th base. As we can see, there are no defenses here for Veom. He's going to have to do something with those drones, perhaps move them, perhaps attack with them, I'm not sure, but down here a counter attack for Veom. He's had enough of these relentless pushes here from Shroom, coming up here with these Lings, keep in mind they are 2-2, so they do a nice amount of damage here, and if he can get inside and take out these SCVs, he will be in a very nice position, because as we can see, there is very little at this main expansion here for Shroom, and not to mention the fact that that natural is getting quite low as well. But now with that weakened hatchery, the hatchery goes down, the 4th base goes down as well. This is turning into a very, very heavy push here for Shroom. If he can merge these forces together, he may be able to actually move through and just take out the whole Zerg base. In fact, he's going to use a drop here. He's going to take these down. I think they're coming to the natural. They are indeed. Beautiful little drops here. Another drop down here at the main. This is a fantastic drop play here from Shroom. He's doing a wonderful job of keeping Veom on his toes. We do see that some of these little units here are just a little bit out of position there, being taken out by some of those Marines, but that drop is taken care of by the Lings, and Mutas will deal with that as well. And there is the GG from Veom, with just so many drops all over the places. Denying the 3rd, denying the 4th, and that probably very risky 5th base there from Veom, but just absolutely brilliant play there by Shroom to make sure he's keeping the Zerg on his toes. Despite suffering a big loss here, losing that natural expansion, the game was essentially won at that point, with those Marines just flying around and killing all sorts of things all day, every day. So I hope you guys enjoyed that particular game. We'll probably see some more games out of the Proxy guys in the near future. And if you guys have your own sorts of replays that you want to send to me, send them through to duckvillelol@gmail.com, and I'll do my best to get them up for you. Cheers.